Hi there, it's Catrin from 3Ps. Thanks so much for joining me. This video is about what should be your exercise goals if you're over 40 or over 50 or even over 60. So this clearly is a niche video. If you're younger, you might be watching this out of curiosity. If you are in your 40s, 50s or 60s, then great to have you. This is specifically for you. So this is a niche video. I'm a personal trainer. I work with people of all ages, but I have a particular obviously interest in older exercises because I'm older myself, and we have all probably been around the block a bit exercise wise, or you may be new to exercise. Either way, the question for this video is, how do you set goals if you are older? And I've got 3 points that I'm going to make in this video, and in about 6 or 7 minutes. So the first point I want to make is that you shouldn't limit your vision because of your age. I think there's a temptation, there's certainly a societal pressure on us, those of us who are older, to limit our exercise. I'll give you a really good story here. My father, who was an athlete, he was a professional footballer. He also played tennis at Wimbledon. He was an all-round athlete his whole life. When he was in his 70s, he was playing competitive squash, and his local sports centre had a concession. If you were in what in the UK we call an old age pensioner, in America you call a senior. So if you're over 65 in the UK, you could get cheap sports activities, but they were only for certain activities. And this local sports centre gave cheap admission for badminton, but there was no mention of squash. And that was because the assumption clearly was made that if you were over 65, you would be wanting to do something like badminton, not squash. Now, my father was having none of that. And he went to the sports centre and basically said, I don't play badminton, I play squash. And I'd like the OAP, the senior concession for that. And there was a lot of umming and ahhing, and they eventually gave him the concession. But as a daughter of a man who was that fit, it was tremendous to see that, because it basically informed me that it's nonsense to think that just because you're older you have to do different types of sport. If you love a particular type of sport, then that's what you should stay with, because any sport is about passion. Any sport is about what really turns you on, and therefore don't think that once you get to 40 or 50 or 60 that you have to take up bowls, for example. I'm not dissing any of these sports if those are what you love. What I'm saying is do what you love. So if you always love football, continue with football. If you always love squash, continue with squash. In my case, weights is my passion. I have no intention at any point of stopping weight training. If you look on YouTube, you will see, obviously, if you look, you'll find a video of Arnold Schwarzenegger and his old training partner, Columbo, actually training together, and they're in their 60s. So the first point I make is, don't limit yourself. If you've got a particular sport you're passionate about, then your goal should be around that sport. If you're new to sport, then try a range of sports, but don't again be led by it's got to be badminton or bowls. It can be anything that you like. I know with a lot of seniors, sport is often social, and that's the second point I wanted to make, which is that sport, as you're older, although it can be about specific goals, I've got one client who actually runs triathlons in his 60s, so it's completely possible. And if you ever go to the Ironman triathlon, which is held in the Canary Islands in Lanzarote in May, there is a specific over 60s category. So for those younger viewers, be aware that there are people over 60 doing triathlons. You may not have done a triathlon yourself, but they're sure as hell doing triathlons. So the second point I want to make is that if you're older, often your sports goals are linked to other things, particularly social goals. So if you're older, particularly if, say, for example, you're either on your own, or your partner is unwell, or you've been bereaved, or you're just, for example, just retired and you're looking to increase your social circle, then you can make sport part of that. So I'll give you another story from my own life, which is one of my uncles had been very, very happily married for many, many years, was in his 70s, and through a freak accident his wife was killed, and it was devastating for him. Absolutely devastating, because he and his wife had been, had such a happy marriage for so many years. Anyway, he wanted to meet somebody else. Now obviously as a widower at that age, he was very eligible, but he wanted to meet someone who was as active as he was, because his wife had been killed on a walking holiday in Scotland. So what he did was he took up country dancing, and he met lots of women through country dancing. He eventually met his second wife through country dancing, and that was something they had in common. So there's an example of someone who used sport, and staying fit and healthy was also a way to socialise. So the second point I'd make about being a senior in fitness is often you'll have mixed goals with your fitness. So it won't just be about particular sports goals, it will be about social goals. So the first point I made was don't limit yourself. The second point is you can mix other things in with sport. It doesn't have to be a one only type of goal. It can be sport and social, for example. The third point I want to make, and this is something which I don't want to pander to those who think that being old is decrepit, but I just want to say as a personal trainer that one thing you need to be aware of is when you age, muscles don't age. That's the great thing about your body is your muscles don't age, but your cartilage and your tendons do. So the bits that connect muscle to bone do, and therefore if you are going to do any sort of exercise, you need to build up to it if you're new to it. And even if you're experienced, you will need more warm-up the older you get. So if, for example, you are into lifting weights, and that's obviously my particular area, then I would never walk into weights room and start lifting heavy cold. I mean, you shouldn't really do that as a young person, but you've got much more chances than an older person of injuring if you do that. So make sure you do plenty of warm-up. I would normally do at least 10 minutes of some sort of physical warm-up before I go near a weight, and then I would tend to pyramid my weights. So I would start light, doing this one set light, and then go heavier, heavier, heavier. I might do 5 or 6 sets of one exercise, but I would not start heavy and then go down. I would work up to a heavy weight, and then I would come back down again. In terms of the sort of warm-up you need to do, anything really that gets your body moving and moves your joints. So I particularly like rebounders. I like rebounders because of what they do for your lymph system, and they help to get your lymph system, which is your waste system in your body, going really well. But you don't have to be rebounder. It can be anything. It can be walking, it can be on a treadmill, it can be doing it on a cycle, whatever. But just make sure that you are moving your body before you start lifting. So that applies to any type of exercise. Do something or warm up first. So my 3 points in relation to if you're a senior and what should your goals be in exercise. The first is that don't be limited. Don't think that just because you're over 65 or 55 or 45, whatever, that you need to go with a sedate sport. You don't. You can do something very active. The second point is that as you're older, you may well find that your sports goals are linked to other things, particularly around socialisation. That's great too. So work that in. There's lots of social sports out there. And the third point is, although I'm not advocating that you go for any particularly gentle sports, you do need to bear in mind that your cartilage and your tendons do age, and you need to warm up properly. So that's what I wanted to say. If you'd like to leave me a comment or you have particular questions, then please do so under this video, or you can reach us on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/3Ps Media. I'll put the address up here. You can also message me direct. I'm at hello@3Ps Media. Again, I'll put that up there. I'll also put all this in the show notes. Please do subscribe. It'd be lovely to have you. This channel is all about exercise and mind-body. As the masthead on the channel says, it's about you only better. So I'm a personal trainer. I specialise in weights, but also in mind, body and change, and helping clients get to be the best they can be. I hope I can help you. Hope this has been helpful, and I will see you soon. Bye.